Alright guys, today we've got a forestry mulcher out at the track, and what we're going to do is run through that whole row of trees, get them cleaned up. There's a whole ton of leaners on there, and over time they're going to continue to come down. What this is also going to do is give us a buffer area for cars to run off a lot farther, like another 20 feet or so. So my buddy from Bladeworks Unlimited and I got the skid steer off the trailer. I think he's going to hook up the grapple bucket and push some trees over and then start using that mulcher. So he's trucking out there in the skid steer. I've got another load of tires that are actually going to go to the recycling center. And in the last video where we talked about tires, there was some confusion because I ended up at the landfill. And what's not happening is those tires are not going in the landfill. It's a place that they stockpile them, and Cloquet Tire Aggregate comes and picks them up in that one spot. And what they do is bring them back to their facility and turn them into roadbed aggregate type material. So we're going to the landfill, but that's not where the tires end up. More tires are getting recycled, and the skid steer is kind of a putsy process, so we'll go get some footage of that when I get back, but we're going to be here all day, so we got some other stuff to do in the meantime, and we'll see you guys at the landfill. So this is what I was talking about. All the tires are in one spot. This is just where they're picked up. So anyways, I'm gonna get these unloaded. We'll get a final count, and I think that's kind of about it for tires that have been recycled this year at the track. We ended up putting a big dent in it the last couple years, and hopefully we're about done with doing that. I'll have to keep some, of course, but this is one of those situations where if you need something like tires, they're very easy to get and hard to get rid of. So I'm gonna get rid of these, and if I ever need more, I'll get uniform sizes from a couple of my buddies that drift. So they're easy to bundle up anyways. Let's get these unloaded and get back to the track. Alright, I think that was something like 65 more tires. Actually, didn't count right away, but something like that. It's 60 anyways. So I'm gonna go get some fuel, head back to the track, and we're gonna see how they're doing with the mulcher. All right, so things were going really, really well, and then I believe the battery actually died on the Mule. Either that or it's not charging because the fans were running for a very long time. I mean, pretty much constantly. And I do wonder, because it's an older battery, if maybe it didn't just die on me. So it starts with a jump, I put a charger on it, it wouldn't really even take that to get going. So I'm thinking the battery's shot. Clearly doesn't have any current capacity, so I don't think I'm gonna jerry rig anything on that. I'll just replace the battery, it's an older one. Lots of progress being made with the mulcher. He's actually doing a really good job, and it's actually pushed back the wood line, you know, a few more feet to where it kind of originally was. You can see the taller, older trees back there. But anyways, I'll get this thing charged up enough to get it back towards the garage. I'm gonna try and drag the, as it would be, back to its resting home and out of the way. And I think I'm gonna call this done for now. I'll just have to come out with a fresh battery and a multimeter and make sure it's actually taking a charge, because right now I'm kind of flying blind. I don't have a multimeter, which is not good. So I'm gonna let this charge up for a little bit, and hopefully I can do a final lap and go park this thing for the rest of the day. Hopefully call it a win and good to go next time. All right, so it is about lunchtime. We just finished up eating, and check out how much different it is through here. The trees are pushed back about 10, 12 feet. You can kind of see where the line was here. It's something like that. But ultimately what we end up with is a pretty good sized mulch. So he's out refilling the skid steer right now. We're gonna go over here and check out I've never seen this done before, and I'd imagine a lot of people haven't either, but this is a really good option, because if you were to do this by hand, you would have a nightmare on your hands, because this would take forever. Anybody that's ran a chainsaw of any size for any duration of time would look at this and realize how much time and just hard manual labor that is. It's really unbelievable. So to see it done this quick is really satisfying, and overall I think the job that's done is better, because you end up with no stumps or anything. You just have a nice quality finish. So it's like a little rock down there, so those carbides even gouge into this granite a little bit. It looks like a granite boulder down there. They're tough, but that's a wear item on them. You end up putting teeth on them, I would imagine, occasionally. But I'll go through here, start picking up some sticks and chucking them. But it's looking really good through here, and honestly, this is the best way to clean this place up at this point. So he's filling the machine up over there, and then yeah, we'll show you guys some more mulching action. All right, it is the next evening out here. I took the CETA out and I was gonna show you guys kind of how things ended up. At the end of the day, I'm really impressed with how this actually went. The mulcher left quite a mess to clean up, which is unfortunate. I think if we had more time, we could have used a grapple bucket and kind of picked up some of the big chunks that are left and thrown all over the track and infield area. But anyway, that's something to be expected if you do have a piece of equipment like that. They're pretty violent. They're not a scalpel. It takes a rotating sledgehammer to everything, and that's what destroys everything. So, did a couple of little things out here. Open up this whole area, which will be better for parking and whatnot in the future. So, I don't know how we're gonna improve on this, but for now, the trees and shrubs are gone, which is good. Which, you know, lends to having a few pluses. It's just a little bit more of a breeze through here, and anyway, I find these big eggs everywhere, which is unfortunate, but the more we find, the more we can throw, and the less we will hit ultimately. But yeah, this whole mulched area was not available prior. Now we've got a clear sight line everywhere, so this will be a nice little area that we've of course improved upon. But the big thing is the other side, and I want to go show you guys how that turned out. So this will kind of give you the reasoning as to why I didn't stand anywhere near this thing. This shrapnel is everywhere, and it all came from, you know, the wood line or farther or closer. Not to mention, there's a couple of javelins like this, one of which you'd see on the drone footage that's stuck in the ground upright right here. So I was standing in the barriers, and even that's too close. These things will get chucked about 300 feet, I guess. And yeah, this type of projectile, it would end up doing some serious damage if you got hit by it. So at the end of the day, this is the finish you're going to be left with without serious cleanup afterwards. And it's quite a bit of stuff to throw. Should almost consider going through here and just using like a grapple bucket or a dirt bucket on a skid steer and picking up a lot of this. And I don't quite know what to do with it, but at the end of the day, it's neither here nor there at this point. We just got to get things cleaned up enough where you can start mowing on it. So a lot of the big stuff like this you can chuck. Whatever, but you could spend a whole day doing that. A lot of people have offered to help out. Maybe I'll do an open roll call, you know, next weekend or something where this is just open, come throw big stuff in the woods, I'll feed you lunch, you know, whatever, something like that. But ultimately what this means for the track and everyone driving on is more runoff room also, which is good. Because before the wood line was somewhere right out here, we pushed it back a good 10, 12 feet back to where it was prior, before all these popple trees kind of grew up. So anyways, this is basically what you're left with. We ended up stopping about there. There's big rocks in that hillside, and but overall, I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. It's one of those situations where when you carry a hammer, everything's a nail, and it's hard to know where to stop. But we got back pretty much to all the old growth trees, and I'll show you all the way down here how this turned out, and you'll get a good idea of the totality of it. And we got a pretty good setup here, but there's some skid steer work to be done here at the end of the day. That's the way to do it. So check that out. Epic carnage. And a lot of the mulch you got left with, you know, stuff like this, it's good mulch. But there's a lot of big stuff in there too. So we'll have to be very careful with the lawnmower until we can really pick through it, because there's stuff like this in there which would absolutely just hammer that thing. So right over, there's a little hedge of trees too that they took out, which is good because now that area is all open. And through here is the last of it, basically, that they did with the forestry mulcher. And what it did is give us a ton of runoff area, which is really good. I mean, the more the better, the more the merrier, so I should say. But again, it's just more of the same. It gets a little bit redundant, but at the end of the day, you can see the drone footage and you can see kind of what the finish is like here. So if you're thinking about having this done at your property, this is going to be real similar to what you end up with. I mean, you can't hit every one of these. So this is exactly what I expected, and I'm happy at the end of the day. Well, that's pretty much going to be a wrap for today's video. Appreciate you guys watching. As always, there's incremental progress at the track. The next upload is probably going to be about the tower. That's going to be the next thing we're fixing on. But for now, we got a lot more real estate out here, which I'm psyched about. And we're going to have a meeting here real quick about going over the pond situation in the back. So more to come on that, but we're almost through permitting and we've got a good plan on what to do. So we'll see where that goes. But for now, that's all I got for today's video. We'll see you guys in the next one.